Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CASC Town Hall. How are you all doing? I hope everyone is off to a running start comedy-wise. It seems like shows are back on, and the ones that have been delayed, and for me personally, but I think for pretty much all of us in comedy that, shows are on, and hopefully we can keep them going. So CASC is pretty excited about it, and hope all of you are too, and hope you're off to a good start making people laugh. Now, I don't know if you noticed, if anybody who saw the last meeting, I was unaware. I'm Monty Scott, the president. I was unaware that I was just staring blankly for the first 30 seconds of our last town hall meeting. So I thought I'd start off immediately with talking so as to not disquiet all of you. And it started us off to a very weird, I want everyone to be calm, is what I'm saying. So remain calm as we run down our various comings and goings that we've had going on the last 6 months and last year. We've got, quite a few things that we're going to talk about today. We're continuing to explore the option of looking into a community chapter, for us to be looking at a community chapter for Unifor. So we'll explain some more of what's going on with that, and as we've been moving through the process of looking towards that. We've got some encouraging updates regarding our continued push for having comedy registered, and recognized as art by our country. So we've got some interesting and positive updates on that. We've got some interesting positive updates for potential grants regarding comedy and CASC, as well as for us to have comedy recognized as art will be the ability for all of you to apply for various grants in regards to comedy. So that would be, again, that's, the end goal for sure. But we have some interesting news regarding grants, and hopefully the whole crux of the meeting will give you the impression, and I think I definitely have the impression, we all have the impression that CASC has gotten stronger, as a lot of us have through this pandemic. We're coming out and we're feeling at least strong. So hopefully you'll feel the same way. And to start things off, we're going to have a vote. Well, we won't have the vote, but we are going to have our treasurer, Nick Dury, give you the budget for this coming year, and give you all an opportunity. And we encourage, of course, you to vote for it at the end or during the whole meeting, actually. So I'll put it forward to Nick.
Awesome. Thanks, Monty. Hey, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Nick Dury. I'm a comedian based in Toronto. I've been the treasurer with CASC for about 14 or 15 months. I know I've got some big shoes here to maintain the calmness that Monty set with his intro, keeping everyone calm. So hopefully that running through this budget doesn't raise anyone's anxiety levels whatsoever. But we're very pleased to present to you a balanced budget. Relatively modest budget in terms of projected spend for this year, given the fact that we're just coming out of the pandemic, and I'm happy to walk you through what that is. So for this purposes, I know we all love looking at Excel sheets. I'm focusing on the yellow highlighted or the B column. First, I'm just going to walk you through the expenses that we've set for the upcoming year. If you attended the last AGM back in November, you're going to notice that not too many differences here. The one big difference is that we have allocated some funds for lobbying. With the pandemic, we did not spend any money in lobbying, thus we did not budget for it. So we just felt, let's earmark $3,500, which is roughly what we've spent in years past on lobbying, to earmark for any lobbying efforts. From there, line 10, we're looking at about a $2,000 communications, advertising, social media, marketing, and website budget. This is to attract new members. This is to push out information on social media about some initiatives that we're running, and those types of items. We've got a little bit of funding from Cancom, and I know Adam's going to talk a little bit about some Cancom specific things later, so I won't talk too much about that. And really here, excuse me, without going line by line, the rest of the costs, and the biggest cost of running CASC is just running CASC as a not-for-profit organization. And so that's where you've got our legal fees, our annual accounting fees for filing taxes, liability insurance, and these fun things, bank fees and internet and those types of fees. But really, at the end of the day, we're forecasting for the upcoming year a spend of $11,000 for these items. How we're going to pay for that. we are forecasting to increase our user base to 300 paying members of CASC. That number is based on we had 250 in the previous calendar year. We think that given that comedy is coming back, given the amount of new comedians that are out there, given the amount of work that we could do to interest new members to join, we foresee adding 50 is a relatively conservative number. Of course, with that, 50 more people at $50 per member, that takes us to membership fees accounting for $15,000. We've been graciously donated or have received donations in the past, and so we've earmarked a little bit of money there for a subtotal of $16,000. You can see here this number in line number 43 is the number of the current bank account where all the fees get held and where we pay everything out of. So that accounts for $6,710. And then if I can just direct your attention to line or columns G and H, lines 42 through 45 is where you can see the overall roundup of the financials. So assets equaling 6710, that's our current balance within the Scotiabank account. Liabilities at 11,000, revenues at 16,000 for a net revenue of $11,710.71 for the upcoming year. So that's our budget. I believe you all have access to a link in the chat that Joe put up there. And so if you can go now and vote on the budget or anytime throughout this presentation, that would be fantastic. And obviously, I'm here to answer any questions you may have about any of this, whether it's through the course of this meeting or beyond this meeting.
Thank you very much, Nick. So please all go and vote. Vote now. Vote now. Thank you. We're going to move forward. We've got, as I said, quite a few things to talk about. So we're going to have Drew run you through a breakdown of our synopsis on what the benefits would be for us starting a community chapter of Unifor.
Hey, Joe, you're on mute.
There we go. Let's do that again. So Drew isn't here, Monty. So if you won't mind going through the Unifor slides and explaining to everybody what's up, that would be awesome.
I don't mind. Okay, so hey, here's the central question. This is what we're looking into. Why should CASC join Unifor? Becoming a community chapter. As a community chapter of Unifor, our members will have the option to access the full array of Unifor's extended healthcare benefits and their benefit plans. We can step into their benefit plans, and they have a number to choose from. Currently, we have access to benefit plans, but this is similar, and it's very important for anybody who needs a dental plan or something like that. We're going to have a dedicated Unifor representative, and to keep us updated, informed on various avenues, Unifor can work with us to help reach our goals, basically. So if there's a program that Unifor can work with us to be more specific to our needs, because they have, many different members of Unifor have pretty specific needs, so they're always working to kind of tailor something towards us. So that representative will be like, well, maybe we can do this, maybe we can do that to work better with comedians to make this work.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in here, Monty, and
Sure.
build off of this. One of the biggest questions that we as a board had was, what's in it for Unifor? Like, why does Unifor want to partner with an organization like CASC to assist in some of our initiatives? And it's a strategic community outreach for them. They want to find small organizations, small non-for-profit organizations like CASC, to lend some of their capabilities to some of our initiatives and to help and support in some of those things. So we'll get to the finances of this, and and we want to be as open with this as possible. But there's no money exchange. There's nothing, no financial ramifications for Unifor if CASC joins it whatsoever. So this is really just a strategic community initiative for Unifor.
Thanks, Nick. One thing I wanted to kind of put forward as well, just to everybody, as we're looking at this process of considering community chapter with Unifor as the CASC board, we've been very impressed with the things they can offer us. I think it's really awesome that they would, essentially volunteer themselves to work with us, primarily just for building up our community, so that maybe one of these days down the road, with the idea that maybe one of these down the road will be kind of a more of a contributing member of Unifor. So it could be really beneficial to us, I think. But we're looking at it objectively, and we're going to want your opinions on it as we continue to move forward, because we want to make sure that it's something that we want to do. So lobbying the government is something that is one of the reasons that CASC got formed to begin with. When Sandra originally, had went to the House of Commons with us to, bring out that comedy is not recognized as an art. And Unifor has a team of lobbyists that we're going to be able to work with. And they're not going to be working for us specifically, but we're going to be able to liaise with them to, again, looking at have a comedy recognized as an art, and having them lobby for that and help us lobby for it along the way. And it's we will enjoy the solidarity and stability of a union that represents 310,000 people. And their members are, it specializes in independent workers, as we all are. So that would be a benefit from that point of view as well.
And then lastly, dues. I'm happy to take this, Monty.
Sure,
this is the thing that we've had the most internal discussions about. So there would be an increase to CASC members of your annual dues from $50 a year, which is the current one, to $120 a year. That is just the minimum that CASC, or that Unifor, requires to be a community chapter. However, Unifor does not take any of that money. That money stays directly with CASC and would contribute directly to CASC-led initiatives. So we'll be keeping that membership fee and continue to work, as it says here, to strengthen our organization and continue to work towards our goals. But this increase is not insignificant, especially as we're coming out of a pandemic and things can be tight with people. And so this is the thing that we're the most sensitive about, and this is the thing that we really want to hear the most from the CASC members on is the appetite to increase this annual fee, because we want to be able to demonstrate what we see as the benefits of joining Unifor. However, if on a whole the CASC membership deems it not worthy of an increase of this degree in terms of increase in fees, frankly speaking, we just will not do it. So we're really going to be reaching out to you. We're really going to want to be hearing from you in terms of what your appetite to join Unifor would be. What your appetite would be to have an increase like this to your annual dues. And then any questions that we can answer on behalf of Unifor, and also Unifor is quite willing to come in and answer any questions that you might have as well.
Yeah, so we really want to hear from you on this, because it's a very important decision for us to figure out what we want to do. As Nick said, as much as it's going to be an increase in the dues, those dues go to us, and we're going. I don't know if you've noticed, but as president of CASC, I don't have a fur coat, so we're taking that money and we're using it to strengthen the organization. We're not using it in some, frivolous manner otherwise, although my coat would not be frivolous. So it's important to recognize that, first of all, benevolently, they're not asking for any money for us, but that money will be able to be used to strengthen our organization across the board for things like lobbying and all the things that we started CASC for. So, moving along, I guess. Are we going to let's have Adam come on and talk about developments with Cancom.
Thanks, Monty. Looking good. Love the talking right off the top. Essentially, getting us to vote and supporting CASC, the membership. So I'm just going to talk very quickly about Cancom undertakings. 3 really quick things. First of all, the Canada Performing Arts Workers Resilience Fund, which is a federal fund for performing arts workers in the live sector. Then I'm going to talk very quickly about the grant applications that Cancom has for comedy artists to apply for. And of course, the literary works, which is the copyrights and licenses on your writing, especially when for recorded content. So very quickly with the Canada Performing Arts Workers Resilience Fund, this is a brand new, probably very limited run. I know that CASC has applied for one avenue and Cancom has applied for a different avenue from the same fund. So there's a very good chance that comedians are going to benefit from this federally accessible funding. And so look for news from both CASC and from Cancom in the months ahead in terms of what's going to happen with that money that's going to benefit you across the country. The other thing with regards to the grants, Cancom did have its first comedy grants, the first ever in Canada, of money going to comedy artists to apply for funding as comedians for work that you do as a comedy professional, as an artist in the sector. It's the first time ever that anybody's been able to do that as a comedian. And we did hand out grants. We've not made a public announcement about it, but the recipients are aware, of course, that they received this. Business Inc., a comedy web series led by Toria Green out of Toronto. Emily Milling, a musical comedy album out of Toronto. Indigigirl Comedy, an improv and stand-up performance workshop out of Vancouver and Winnipeg. Joel Buxton and Friends, a comedy album out of Toronto. And Tom Hearn, a sketch comedy series out of Toronto. A lot of Toronto represented in there. I will say that for our first application process, I'm really happy about the fact that we had a lot of grant applications. A little over 50% were from Ontario, but there were other applications coming in from other parts of the country. In fact, over 30% came from British Columbia. So we're very optimistic that people were aware of it and that people will apply. I can tell you that we will have another application window open for new funding late this summer for fall grants. So we're really excited about that. And I want to thank our first group of peer assessors who really made it possible for these grants to be delivered to comedy artists: Coco Galore, Derek Seguin, Janelle Niles, and Tommy Campbell. So finally, on the literary works, you might have heard a while back that there was a $41 million lawsuit that was filed against Pandora. Since then, last month, there was another 21 million added to that. And this is for literary works on the royalties paid for the copyright licenses that exist for the writing that you do in recorded work. For all of time, there's never been that opportunity to collect royalties on those copyrights, even though those copyrights have always existed. So there's always been 2 streams. In music, they've been collected on the recording and on the writing, but in comedy and spoken word, it's only ever been on the recording. And so Cancom has collaborated starting a little over a year ago with one of the agencies that is actively collecting the royalty payments on behalf of comedy artists internationally and in particular in Canada and the States for the literary work copyright licenses and the royalties paid on those. And so they're the ones, it's Word Collections, that have filed the lawsuit, $41 million to Pandora, which is one of the platforms that plays spoken word comedy. And basically, it's on behalf of living and since past comedy artists that have huge catalogs. So that's why the number is so large. But the reality is that what Cancom wants you to know, 4 things. Number one, these royalties on those copyrights exists. And so you need to kind of align yourself with one of the agencies that is collecting, that has the infrastructure to collect on those. Cancom has simply started to collaborate with Word Collections, but there are others like Spoken Giants, and there are other emerging collection agencies working in this area. The reason that we collaborated with Word Collection specifically is they agree that it's important that artists know, but they also agree that artists should take the biggest share of the money collected on those copyright licenses and keep it for the artists. So they've agreed to a little bit of a lower rate than might be the standard. They've also agreed to invest some of the money that they make internally from their own net profits into comedy artists to create new recordings. And they've also agreed to go to the market with a balanced approach. So for instance, if you sign an agreement with Word Collections to work for you to collect these royalties, they're not just going to lump you into an existing lawsuit. If you're saying, no, I've signed an agreement, I'm working on this recording, I'm totally fine with the compensation I've given, I don't want you to sue anybody, totally fine. They work for you. So we want a balanced approach for all stakeholders in the market. And so that's why Cancom is specifically aligned with Word Collections. So the last thing I'll say is it's going to sound like a bit of duplication, but at the end of the day, in order for us to get you the best rate, if you want to exercise your right on the copyrights that you own for your writing and the royalty payments that you deserve retroactively and moving forward, we need to collect information to share properly, to respect privacy rules with Word Collections. They're based out of the US. So we need to have more than just one or two people at a time going to Word Collections. So that's why I'm asking you, in addition to voting and everything that you're doing, Cancom membership is totally free, very easy at the Cancom website. When you become a Cancom member, you can opt in to allowing us to share your contact information with Word Collections, and then they would contact you. You're not agreeing to anything. You're not signing any deal. But because of privacy issues, data, you've probably been hearing a lot about that over the past couple of years. We have to do it properly and provide them with that information in the right channels. So it's totally free to become a Cancom member. There's no commitment. You would simply get contacted by them to explore signing agreement with them. And your agreement would be with Word Collections, not with Cancom. We have nothing to do with it. But they would invest through Cancom with granting programs for new content to be created. And the new one, by the way, that we're doing in the summer and the fall for new grants has nothing to do with it. This is a completely separate entity in terms of funding your work. So that's the last thing I'll say about it. I'll throw it back to Monty for the rest of the agenda, and I'll stick around if there's any questions. And of course, you can always reach out to myself or anybody on Cancom board for any questions you have about those three things.
Thanks, Adam. And congratulations to Adam and Cancom for putting those grants together. That's fantastic. First ever it's been done, and we're all working towards having it be something that's regular. Another thing to celebrate regarding comedy as art, Quebec has officially designated comedy art in Quebec. So that is fantastic. Congratulations to them. Really, Quebec has been, the envy of the comedy world for Canada for since comedy started, I guess. So they had some, French having a French land where you can only do comedy. There are a lot of people don't speak English. It's been fabulous for them to develop their comedy, develop their, and they've done a great job of it. So it's really encouraging. They've been working at this for, 20 or 30 years to have comedy, designated as an art, and they've finally been successful. And we can look to them. We can look to them for how we want to run comedy in this country because they've done such a great job of it. So let's take a moment to congratulate them, and with a little bit of luck, maybe the dam will be somewhat breaking across the country for having art recognized, because it's a bizarre oversight that's not the case. On the same note, the British Columbia has announced that they're going to be making changes and working towards having comedy again designated as an art. We had some of our representatives meeting with British Columbian officials in regards to, to express our community's thoughts on what we'd like to see in regards to getting grants and, how we would like to see it administered and what would be important to us. So we had our representatives talking with them, and they've announced maybe a couple of weeks ago that they're looking at making these changes, and we're anxiously awaiting seeing what they do. So we're really optimistic that that's another, first Quebec, hopefully British Columbia now, that we're moving towards a world where, maybe you're going to be able to, tour around the country and get a grant for that, because our art is recognized as an art. So that's fantastic. as Adam had mentioned, we're really excited about the idea that we may get some federal funding for our community. We're hoping that would work, and it was as he had mentioned, a grant that we had applied for, and we're hoping for the best. So that we would be over the moon if we're able to through the federal government offer some relief for COVID disruption to our community. So we've got our fingers crossed for that. Joe, are we going to talk about membership?
You ever wonder what you can get for $5? Not this cheesecake. Not this curry chicken. Definitely not these sneakers. Oh, what's that? You like this faux fur carpet? Too bad. You give up? Give up. It's a CASC membership. Become a CASC member for only $5 a month. Join today.
Yes, people, that's all it takes. $5 a month to support CASC. That's cheaper than an Amazon subscription. It's cheaper than a beer. And it's literally the best thing you can do to help us advance and move our goals forward. So $5 a month, go to the site, become a member, and trust you'll be doing your part to help what we do. Awesome. So what are we up to next? Next, we're going to talk about some ambassadors. Nick, you want to take that?
Sure, I'd love to. I love this game of improv that we're playing. This is great.
Right?
No, just wanted to welcome some new ambassadors, but then also acknowledge some of the OG ambassadors that have been with us for a while. Ted Morris, representing the LGBTQ community, Kathleen McGee, Alberta, Miles Morrison. This is just going to be a call out of names. That's all I'm doing. Miles Morrison from Saskatchewan, Sean McLaren from Northern Ontario. New addition to the ambassadors, Jean-Francois or John Brisson from Northern Ontario as well. Derek Seguin from Quebec, Sam McDonald from PEI, Nikki Payne from New Brunswick, Mike Hammond from Newfoundland and Labrador, Bibi Bilodeau from Nunavut, Franco Buscemi from Nunavut as well, and Yukon, Jenny Hamilton, and looking for someone from Northwest Territories, BC, Manitoba, and Nova Scotia. So if you're in those areas, or those provinces, those territories, and you know of anyone who would be interested, or you want to suggest anyone, please put their name forward, and we'd be happy to reach out to them.
Boom. Yes. Thank you, Nick. What up, Ted? So yes, as we come closer to the end, I'm very excited to announce this because it's been a while in the making. It's almost 4 years in the making. So we always get emails and people are always asking us, like, what do we charge comedians? What should I charge people on my show? And so after gathering information from many clubs, from many festivals, from many producers, we've put together a sort of kind of price guidelines. Now, super disclaimer, this is not meant to be the rules. This is not meant to be how it's supposed to be done. This is to show comedians what they need to consider when you're going to do a gig. So what you need to consider for getting paid to doing a gig is the size of the room, the day the show is going on, how much the cost of each ticket, how far it is. All these little things matter in what the price will be. So I'm going to share the link in the comments right after this, but it's a matter of, I want to hear back from you guys too. Please send us some information on what you guys think is right, what you guys think is wrong. Again, I repeat, what we have there is an average of a lot of data that we've collected, and also what we think CASC, what the minimum base should be for comedians. I think we all agree that you've been being paid the same thing for too long. And if you're ever going to change the base, it's got to start somewhere. So CASC wants to at least show you guys a way to start. And if everybody does it, all producers start doing it, people remind each other, if you can't pay a comic, you shouldn't be doing a show. And don't ask comics to do favors and things like that, in the sense of you got to, like, whatchamacallit, everybody's got to work together. So these guidelines are guidelines. They're not meant to police anybody. They're just there to help you guys consider the price, the fee that you're getting, and if that's fair to you. So I will share that, and I look forward to hearing what you all have to say. So with that, we're going to pop in Nick and Monty, and we're going to go to some question period.
Excellent. It's great. It's great we got that out, Joanne. A big
Yes.
round of applause, everybody at home, for Joanne Britton putting in so much work for us at CASC, and we wouldn't be able to do it without her. And for all our directors as well, and all our ambassadors, it's I don't know, it's pretty encouraging to see our membership is expanded, and also please remember to join. If you're watching this and you haven't joined, again, go into the bathroom and take a look in the mirror and ask yourself what the hell you're doing.
Specifically the bathroom.
Yeah, I would say the bathroom. I only have one bathroom mirror. You see, this is the precedent, and I don't even have a mirror other than the bathroom, because I don't. This is a no frills operation. You know what I mean? We're not spending the money frivolously on my mirrors. No, just one mirror in the bathroom, and it's important that you join, because together we're all making a difference, and we're going to be able to move this industry into a situation where we're not always sitting around after a show complaining about how we've been hard done by something. At least the things that we can control a little bit, we're going to put ourselves in a better situation. So if you're a comic and you want to keep being a comic, and even if you're just a part-time comic, why not join CASC, so that it's just a better situation. And if you're just doing the odd open mic and stuff like that, and you're like, I don't know if I should join CASC, how about you throw the rest of us a bone? Why not? What's that going to harm, with the idea that you won't have to listen to your friends complain about how they can't eat? That doesn't hurt. So that being said, I don't know. Do they have any questions, Joe?
It should be noted, Monty only refers to this as a no frills organization because he loves the store No Frills. That's actually, he's bigging it up.
And listen, it's preliminary talks. I've been talking to the PC Optimum people, and if we can get you some points, we will. I won't keep them all. I'll share them around. Don't even worry about it.
There was I know there was a question. I know there was a question from Mike, I believe, around fees. I answered it in the chat, but just to walk you through. So if we decided to join Unifor, our fees would go from $50 a year to $120 a year, or $10. It would increase to $10 a month, basically. $10 a month times 12 equals 120. So that would be the increase. That's the thing that, as I said, as I was walking through, if I can be frank with you all, we're the most sensitive about. If this makes sense for us as an entire organization, we'll do so. If it makes financial sense. If it doesn't, we're just not going to do it.
Yep. So let us know, yo. Let us know.
Yeah. So what is that? About $4 and change a month to up to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and again, that money will go into the CASC coffers, so that we can use it for lobbying or whatever else we might need, because obviously it costs money to run an organization like this.
Boom. Okay, let's see. We got Sandra here. What up, Sandra? She asks, can you speak a bit about how practically it would look like to work with Unifor? One of the things that I believe to be powerful would be that when we are lobbying the government or negotiating with the industry, that their presence and power could really make a difference.
I could start, and Monty, if you want to sort of build off of what I say. So, I mean, just to walk you through the nuts and bolts of if we were to join Unifor, one of the first things that we would do with the Unifor management was to look at our existing bylaws that CASC has created, Sandra, that you would have been a keen part of, and ensure that there's a proper alignment between CASC and between Unifor, just from a constitution standpoint. And if there isn't, then we would have to enter some degree of negotiation around ensuring that we had alignment in the constitutions. That would be sort of a precursor to us joining. So that's sort of the nuts and bolts of sort of practically, but how we would actually, to answer your question, practically what it would be like to work. This would be something where we would have to be in line with Unifor in terms of their organizational goals on an annual basis. And we would present CASC organizational goals to them to ensure that they could get onto their organizational goals. Because as Monty alluded to, we would have access to lobbyists, but that's not to say we're going to get assigned 3 lobbyists who are going to work full-time for CASC. They're going to be working on a bunch of other different things. And so it would be a matter of CASC and the board to have presence and visibility with the Unifor to say, here are our organizational objectives for the upcoming year. How does this fit with Unifor's organizational objectives, and how can we have some alignment and then have access to some of those resources? So through the course of the initial discussions that we've had, that's how I see the partnership being. But Monty, I don't know if you had anything to add on more specific.
Yeah, no, I would agree with everything you said. I mean, it seems like it will be a matter of, like you say, regarding lobbyists, they're not going to be only CASC lobbyists, but it'll be our kind of goal along with our representative to try and say, this is how maybe you can lobby for CASC, and then they'll take their moments to be able to do that for us. And I think it would go along with just about any other kind of crises or situation. We will have the backing of Unifor. Now, they may not drop everything and say we got to do this with CASC, but if there were a some sort of crisis, like I say, they'll be there. So there's a great deal of legitimacy and like I was saying, stability that you're getting with 310,000 members. So and not only that, 310,000 members in like a contractors type of union where it's an independent workers type of union. So I think there's a great deal of kind of gravitas that comes with Unifor for sure. And it would be lent to us and on various occasions pretty directly. So.
Let's see. All right. Anything else? No, I think that's it. So.
Okay, well.
Oh, I want to give a huge shout out to Alyssa Dubinsky. She is our new volunteer who's been helping us on social media and pumping out that content. So I want to say thank you and welcome to the team. If you want to volunteer and help CASC in any one of those types of duties, communications, helping us on social media channels, feel free to hit us up, and your help is always welcome. What is this? I think we have something else here.
Something about the pricing guideline document. We should probably, let's bring this up.
Yep. What's up, Dion? So I came hoping for some suggested guidelines for what comics should be getting paid. Thanks, Joanne and company, for your work. Looking at the guidelines, I'm wondering whether we recommend that the minimum percentage of this total budget that should go towards comedian pay is 25%. Personally, I have been verbally advocating for shows to pay 50% profits to comics. Well, these are the things we want to hear. So what do you guys think?
It's definitely it is a case by case basis. The idea of 50% is not wrong at all. It's only a matter of I guess it wouldn't necessarily fit every scenario. So when we're putting out these guidelines, we're certainly not saying, hey, don't advocate for more in various manners, because sometimes you would very much should be getting more, and sometimes what we're recommending is the right amount. But it's really a guideline just to give people a basis of what's going on, particularly for people who don't know what should I be getting paid. I don't know how this works. It's give you a framework for figuring out how much you should get paid. But the idea that comics should be getting 50% of any given show is not necessarily wrong at all. It just kind of depends on the rest of the expenses and whatnot. But we thought it was important to put up just a framework so you can have an understanding of how you put together, your own fee.
Mm-hmm. And the more producers and the more people start paying up that way, the more everyone will follow, because nobody's going to want to do the show that only pays them a little bit. They're going to do the show that pays them a lot. So in the sense of full, like, okay, I'm just going to like do some like plug-in of my Red Fedora comedy here, because that is really the model that I'm taking, as far as where people would be like, that's overpay. And I'm like, no, that's actually the pay that they should get, because there's travel involved, there's time involved. And just because you're doing 10 minutes doesn't mean you're there for 10 minutes. There's a lot more process to go on that goes with that. So thank you very much, Deanna. I agree with that. 25%, like I said, is the bare minimum. I'm not paying 25%. I'm paying over that. So if we can get everybody up closer to that 50%, I think we're all winners, man.
Yeah, completely, Joe. Well, that's the thing. That is the thing with fees. You know, it's always a tough question, because in my opinion, I've always paid too much for absolutely everything I've ever bought, and I've never got paid enough for anything I've ever done.
Say it again, Monty. Say it again.
But I'm biased. But putting together what you actually should be getting is I'm encouraged that this is it's a good framework for figuring it out, and then we all have our own kind of various ways in various situations you're gonna have to put some judgment on it as to, you know, what should I be getting. But and that being said, they're always going to think they're paying too much, and you're always going to think you're not getting enough.
Yes. Yes. Sometimes that might be true. That might be true. Yeah. Okay, I think there's a question here from Mike. Is CASC currently working with any other arts organizations from the conventional sectors? I know we've reached some organizations have reached out to us. There's one lady we actually been meaning to get back to. Leah Monty. Let me just find her organization. We're always open for other people to come and work with us. Like, we've made alliances with l'École nationale de l'humour. We've made connections with the what is it again? The APIH, which is the French Comedian Association in Quebec. Comedy Ha also is on our radar. So there's still a lot more work to be done in that aspect. So just getting festivals and comedy organizations or other arts organizations to know that we're alive and that we're there is definitely another good goal and another good thing that we have to look out for.
Absolutely. I was a little more confused with the conventional sectors part of that question, because I'm like, you mean the shoe business, or, you know? But yeah, we're always trying to expand working with. We'd like to work with every organization, arts organization that we could. So.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see what we have here. Cast worked with Theater Center.
It wasn't a question. It was just a statement.
Yeah. I was like, question mark. Okay, yeah. Thanks, Sandra. Yeah, great questions. Oh, yeah. So, no, obviously, yeah, we're working with ACTRA, and we have the AFS, those benefits that we come through that you get when you become a member of CASC. So for $5, you can get all those benefits, all accessible to you. Boom.
Yes, thank you to ACTRA for you know, they've lent us use of their benefits for 3 years now, I think.
Right. The Comedy is Art Fest. Oh, wow. What is this? Thanks for helping us put the guidelines from CASC, and hopefully this can lead to better pay for comics. As Mike said, the Quebec Association has managed to get really high standards for their comics, and hopefully English comics can move towards that. I totally agree. I feel like what Quebec has done is what English Canada absolutely needs to do. We need to create our own star system and get our asses out of America's, and, you know, start recognizing our own talent that is here, and stop letting our talent have to leave to go get big. Let's create those opportunities here. Let's get them paid here so they don't have to go anywhere.
There is much that English Canada can emulate regarding comedy in Quebec, that we always are kind of, you know, what did they do and how did they do it, because they've done it right.
Yeah, totally. So I think in the next, probably in our next town hall, I'm definitely going to get Derek Seguin and somebody else from our French community to come talk about that and really talk about the experience of working on the French circuit versus working on the English circuit, and how the difference of, professionalism, just the difference of like respect and that comes with it versus the English side. So yeah, man. Parlez-vous le français? It's time to do some jokes in French, yo. Don't encourage people to steal my act. Sorry, Derek.
It'll take a lot of studying before I can steal the act.
All right. So I don't see any more questions. You guys have anything you guys want to shout out to?
I just wanted a little reminder to vote, everybody, on the budget. And I just wanted again to throw it out there to be like, listen, again, if you haven't joined CASC, please do, because we need all of us here. We need more drivers and less passengers that way. So can we make T-shirts like that?
More drivers, less passengers. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first. Monty says. All right. Without further ado, I guess that will be good. You guys have yourselves a great evening, afternoon. Thank you for coming and checking us out. We appreciate the support. We're like literally boosting our fires and trying to get back out there. So please share this when it's done. Please follow us on our social media. Make sure you're on our mailing list and make sure you're a member.
Thanks all.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Peace.